All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the August 2023 Personnel and Finance Committee meeting here at City Hall Council Chambers here on Wednesday, August 30th at 6 p.m. The first item on the agenda is the July vouchers.
Make a motion to approve the July vouchers.
I will second it.
Questions or discussion on the July vouchers? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the July vouchers signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those are passed, and we'll go on to the next common council meeting. Next item on the agenda is minutes from the previous meeting, which for personnel and finance was July 25th.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 25th meeting.
Second.
Questions or discussion on the July 25th, 2023 meeting? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those are approved, and we'll go on to the next common council meeting. Under section 4, agenda items for consideration, the first item is to review the revised finance director job description referred from the July meeting. And that was in the packet.
Is that revised by?
Several. I think it's already posted, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
it is.
yep, because it was all
Well-
revised and approved by the mayor and Corey and Rod and Tom. And so, yeah, it's been, it's on the clerk's list, it's on the finance director, or Wisconsin Finance Directors and League of Municipality on their website.
I think it was talked about if there are any changes, upcoming changes, we can still change it. It's
Correct.
Okay.
Does
It-
it, I was
Go
gonna say,
ahead.
does it, everything in it coincide then with what our ordinance
Mhm.
has laid out?
Much more extensive than the ordinance, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
And posted as of when, Lori?
Last week, was it Monday? It was before I went on to the conference.
Right.
So that it was on League of Municipality and the clerk's list last week, and the finance directors of Wisconsin Monday or Tuesday, because their person was on vacation. So it's out there.
I have no questions.
Your Honor, are you on the phone with us?
Yeah,
Okay. Did you have anything on this agenda item?
just that I did talk with a couple of the ladies in the treasurer's office, and they went through it and kind of made some changes in it too, so I think we're all set and good to go with it the way it is. I was happy with it. We had Krista redo it about 3 or 4 times, and I think we should be good moving forward, so.
Okay. And for those of us that didn't see it, the advertisement, is it open or has a suspense date?
it's open.
Open
It's
until
open.
filled.
Fulfilled, I think.
Okay. All right. Committee members, any questions or further discussion on this?
It was just for your review.
I was gonna say, we don't need to really approve it, do we? Do we have additional places that we're going to be posting it, that we're aware of at the time, or?
Could you repeat where it's posted again, Lori?
Well, it's on the city website. It's on, I don't know if it was going to be on the Facebook page, I don't know. It is Facebook, okay. It's on the League of Municipalities site. on their online site, and it's on their Facebook post. I forgot that one. It's on the clerk's list. It's an email that goes out to all
Mhm.
clerks in the state of Wisconsin. And then it's also on the finance director, their group in the state of Wisconsin. So it's on all those.
We
Platforms.
did have a discussion about putting it on sites like Indeed and some other, just to get it out there. Kathy, what's your opinion on other avenues of advertising for that?
Couldn't hurt.
I think Hallie did say she was going to put it on LinkedIn,
Yep.
on the city LinkedIn.
Yeah.
We have had luck in the past with Indeed,
Mhm.
um, even for something, not wastewater. Different people look at different sites.
Right,
So it doesn't
cast
get out
white
there as
is
much as
not,
we can.
right. Okay. Anything else? Hearing none, then we'll move on to Section 4, Sub-Agenda Item Number 2, update and continue discussion of the 2024 budget status.
Going off the page 92 of your packet, I provided the additional information on revenues. These are just the state aids. We're still waiting for Wisconsin DOT to provide their estimates. That'll happen probably later in September. We also have, besides the just over $700,000 of new revenue on state aids, there will also be interest income probably in the $150,000 range as well for 2024. So from a revenue standpoint, I think we're sitting in excellent position to backfill and to set the community up for future budget years, which will not be as much in the future, but you're looking at over $100,000 annually coming in. So if it's structured correctly, that you might be able to backfill in future years. Number 2, in terms of health insurance, we have extremely positive news in terms of renewal with Aspirus Health Plan. We got several proposals, and that allowed us to negotiate. We're looking at a 3% reduction from the 2023 rates. I still need to go back through all the draft budgets at this point and make those adjustments.
You said a reduction?
A 3% reduction.
40,000-ish?
Well, it's way better than a 5% increase, so.
Mhm.
So basically, I've taken 8% out of the health insurance from the preliminary budgets that are out there. Capital plan, I'm still waiting for a few departments to provide additional information, but it's getting there.
Is there a suspense for submitting that from those departments?
They're long overdue.
Close the window.
What?
Close the window.
Well, and I'm still waiting. On the festival grounds, I haven't heard any feedback in the last month on my questions of what priorities were on the festival grounds. Okay, in terms of moving.
Can you send me a email with the departments that haven't responded to that capital budget request?
Yes, I will. Some of them I'm still waiting for just pictures at this point, now that I have numbers. So I'm at this point further along than I've ever been in operational budgets, and I'm trying to work through that at this point in time. If you've gone to different committees, let's say Park and Rec has a draft of their budget for next week's meeting, that's one of the departments that needed to finalize their capital request from the Park and Rec Commission. So-
They were waiting on numbers for the Riverbend Trail Bridge, the old trestle bridge
Mhm.
behind the Cosmo there. We have a vendor that's giving us a number on that, so that'll be coming here shortly.
there will be some significant changes within the street department on how personnel are allocated within the budget. And I guess I'll correct it. It's about almost 2 full-time positions are between garbage and recycling, and shifted to probably roads or snow and ice. And I'm spending quite a bit of time going through the street department, and fortunately, the supplemental shared revenue can be used to offset what are fairly significant increases related to materials. And one of the places in the budget, we got to assume that we have a nice typical winter rather than like last year. I projected that you were going to have $20,000 to $25,000 deficit last year, and it actually came in for sand and salt at $39,000. So it looks like every 3 to 5 years there's a big one in terms of the winter.
Was it because of more usage or because of higher costs or both?
I think
Yes.
both. Everything has gone up in price, everything.
What
literally.
was your question, LaDonna?
I'd asked if it was because of more usage or higher cost or both.
And then throughout departments in terms of WPS bills, in terms of electric. And looking at it, it looked like the WPS rate increases really happened in November of the bit significant ones happened in November after the budget had been drafted. So there'll be adjustments throughout. Basically, that's kind of where we're at. We need to set up some meetings. I'm probably at this point about 2 weeks out. I want to give you the entire budget together all at once to go through. So that's our target.
All right, and as far as the meeting dates, we need to get some more meeting dates on the calendar, you're saying?
You suggested you wanted to have evening committee of the whole meetings.
Right.
I would suggest later September and early October.
I provided notice to the clerk and the mayor that I will be gone from the 29th until I come back on the 11th of October.
And not, out of communications,
It's out of the country.
No.
Out of the country.
but no communications, no
Oh.
call-in capability.
I don't know what I will be able to do from Italy, but it's kind of hard to do budget sessions on the phone. Not that I have to be here for every one of them, but I'd like to be part of it, especially as a member of this committee.
Could we have one on the 26th?
Absolutely,
Which is-
or the 27th, or the 28th.
Well, PNF would be on the 26th normally, correct?
Mhm. Yeah, we don't leave
Have-
until the 29th.
Have a cow that night?
Yep.
That could be the capital one.
Your Honor, are you good to go with that, or?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
What date was it? The
26th.
26th?
Yeah,
Yeah, 26.
Okay.
and then you're returning when?
Back on the 10th. Actually, the 11th is when I'll be back in Merrill.
Okay.
If Kathy's providing the whole budget in the next couple of weeks, it'd be nice to have everybody review it and submit their questions and try to get as much of that answered before that meeting as possible.
Mm-hmm.
What time would the cow be set? Like 5 or?
PNF at 6?
6, cow at 7,
6:30?
6:30.
depending on how long your agenda is.
Yeah, let's plan 6 and 6:30, Your Honor, if that's good to go with you.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
So, okay, so Kathy, can you be more specific on when that draft budget information's going to be available so we can plan accordingly?
I would anticipate having it out the week, no later than Monday, the 18th of September.
Is that going to be enough time for the committee to review it and be prepared for the 26th?
I think for the 26th, if we focus on capital, yeah.
Yeah, on the 26th, we'll just concentrate on capital, I believe, and then meeting after that, do
Oh,
the other parts.
okay,
And you can do the utility at the same time, I think.
okay. And then do we want to select the October meeting as well? Gus, you're back when again?
I was told on the 10th, so we can do it on the 11th.
You'd normally have a council meeting on the 10th.
I don't know my dates.
Do you want to maybe go the Monday, the 16th?
That's good with me.
Works for me.
Do 6 o'clock on the 16th for the committee of the whole.
Okay.
Correct. And then we're scheduled for the 24th for the next PNF meeting.
Yes.
And can do something after that if need be. Okay. And then do we have to look into November as well?
I think you're going to be in. I think you're going to be in pretty good position without having, if you need anything to wrap up on the 24th of October, either at PNF or afterwards, and then you just have the public hearing on the 14th of November. And this is the most revenue that you've had in 20 years for operations.
Okay. Okay, anything else on the 2024 budget for planning or? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to sub-agenda item number 3 under section 4. Continue discussion regarding accumulated sick leave payable at retirement. This was referred from our July 2023 meeting. And the committee members should have a handout entitled Sample Volunteer Leave Policy. Does everybody have a copy of that?
I think that's a different one.
Yeah,
isn't
you're
it?
going ahead of yourself. That's number 5.
Oh, okay. So what I read is for accumulated sick leave payable at retirement, and we'll come back to the employee volunteer day piece of that.
With that discussion, we've come up with a couple different concepts as far as possibly changing language as of a certain hire date to 20% of your accumulated sick leave, which would give people incentive to accumulate sick leave and not use it as off days after they get over the 1,300 hours. That was kind of the push behind that, is a certain percentage of their total leave, and we did some calculations or Corey did, as far as certain number of years and certain positions, and that was a number somewhere between 20 and 25% that you could convert of your total accumulated sick leave. And just throwing it out there, if anybody likes that idea, doesn't like that idea, we had talked about it earlier.
So if they're at 1,300, what does that come up to hours-wise?
Well, a quarter of that, so you're down to 400. But if some of these people after 25 years, they've been, they're in the 3,000 range, where it gets it back down to the 12, 13, or even down to the 800 number that we were shooting for, rather than dropping it to a number, say down to 800. If you accumulate 3,200 hours and you're at 25%, that drops you down to the 800 number. We felt that it was better than getting to 800 and then having that abuse of using sick leave, and not all people do it. I'm not accusing anybody of it, but it does happen. It would give some incentive to keep that number accumulating with the max, with the max there.
Is it something that would then apply to all current employees as well, or just
No,
for new
new
employees
hires, yeah.
coming in? Okay.
Could we restrict that they could only use that fund for their health insurance?
Right now, we don't.
And then you have police and fire contracts that require us to pay it out to separate post-employment health plans programs.
I think it would be probably to the city's benefit, but if we want to talk about recruitment, retention, if somebody has a younger spouse that has the insurance, and those kind of situations, we don't necessarily want them to be using all their sick leave. We want them to have some incentive to use it in emergency and not PTO.
Plus, I don't think you want to you really want to actually get people off of our group health insurance and how they're not staying on it, because you may have adverse selection.
Would any decisions tonight have to go in front of Common Council?
I think it's
A policy.
further discussion. I don't think we're ready to really.
Yeah, I think we need a little bit more information as to
Right.
what that might equate to roughly, or, I don't know.
I think it was just discussion, and I think at the last meeting we had talked about different ideas, and I think everybody was going to think over what we had talked about. And
Were you able to check with any other communities to see
a lot of them are
where
down at the 800
they're
number.
at? Okay.
And there is a grandfather date or a date in there as far as previous employees.
Do you want this on, like, agenda after budget? So you can deal with budget first and then this?
Well, I mean, it's something that you're going to look at for next year, but I would be comfortable with just I'm making a motion to say any employee hired after January 1st, 2024 can accumulate sick leave unending, but can only use 20% on a cash reimbursement at retirement. I mean, it doesn't affect any current employees, which was our goal.
Let's bring those numbers back so you can kind of see. We'll do a couple different scenarios as far as different departments. Some accumulate on 24 and some are 12 and some are 8.
Yeah.
So let's bring that back and just kind of show you the thought process behind it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Has there been any information from recent hires in where that potentially fell in their decision-making for applying for a position with our city, and
That they decided to work for us or didn't decide to work for us?
or that it drew interest, for them to submit an application,
I can tell you from my experience as far as interviewing people and explaining the sick leave process and how much is accumulated and how you can cash it in, it has been attractive. I think even 800 hours would be attractive. I mean, industry standard wise, and I think we're above the rest of the field right now.
Okay.
above and beyond.
But no, I agree with Alderman Kaler that I think coming up with what our new policy is going to be in conjunction with, the timeline for an approved budget and the January 1st time or deadline makes a lot of sense. Anything further on this agenda item?
Just so you're aware, you will need to have some kind of exclusions because your police and fire management all generally are coming from union positions, so you'll have to exempt them.
Correct.
We actually put it in that language in our offer to the police and fire unions this go around as far as a language for discussion for new hires. So we'll continue with that number of 20% and bring it back and kind of show you what the implications are.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you, Rod and LaDonna. Okay, moving on then to sub-agenda item number 4. It's to consider writing off 2022 personal property tax for Terrain Inc. This business was sold to new ownership during 2022. The amount to write off is $312.66.
Can I ask where this is located?
It's a travel lodge now.
Oh, okay.
It's the former O'Connell Lodge.
Yeah, motion to approve.
I will second it.
Questions or discussion on motion on the table? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that's approved. And moving on to sub-agenda item number 5, which is regarding the employee volunteer day for city employees. There is a handout for everybody. Your Honor, were you able to see a copy of this, or?
No, I was not.
Can you send a picture of that?
It's fine, I'll see it on Friday or Monday, or next Wednesday.
Well, Steve, you'll have a copy tomorrow.
Okay,
I'll send you a picture right now.
thank you.
If I may, Your Honor.
Yep, go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair.
Yep.
I think this is a great idea. I think it's a wonderful idea, and unfortunately, I don't think it's going to work for us as a municipality. We have had discussions among departments, both in City Hall. We are continuously hearing about the staff here being overworked. They have to do overtime to catch up with their work, which is what they have to do. It's the nature of the beast. So then say to them, well, we're going to give you additional days off to go out and help, I don't see the taxpayers really liking that idea. We also have other departments that are very short of staff, and we are reminded of it continuously about how their staff has been cut or short. And for them to say, well, okay, but now we're going to pull some people off this line or that line to go out and do work is just something that I think is bad policy to the taxpayers. Our clerk informed us that she put out something on her net and nobody else is doing anything like this. And matter of fact, a lot of them expressed hesitation on even moving forward with something like this. And so I like the idea. I think it's a wonderful idea, but I think it's something for a place like Church Mutual or something like that who does have programs like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I can, I'm the one that did bring this to the committee, so if I may, Paul, speak on this a little bit.
Go ahead, Alderman Meyer.
Yep, this was something that was brought to Tom Hayden and I actually, as we were having a conversation, someone had brought up the idea and we looked at each other and said, well, let's see what we can do with it. And so I had Tom look at this a little bit, see kind of what was out there as far as what we could accomplish with this and maybe get some, because the biggest thing that you hear obviously from if you just walk down the fair is we don't have the volunteers to help us. And I'm just going to bring up the fair as an example because obviously that was the last thing that a bunch of volunteers helped with. So it's one of those where I looked at myself and my own predicament. And it's like, well, I work for the school district. That's a governmental position. And I put in 5 days worth of PTO, my own personal PTO time for the fair every year. And I have no problems doing that. And I don't think other people should either. I think they should use their PTO time as volunteer. But if you give them a little bit of incentive, say up to 8 hours, 1 day per calendar year to work with a 501c3, as Tom has very well put in this sample policy, it's not concrete. I'm not looking to get this approved today either. I'm looking for discussion, nothing more, nothing less. It's something that maybe we can encourage people giving back to this community in order to help with this. Now, obviously, through this example, it'd be basically like any old PTO time. Get approval by your supervisor. If the supervisor says absolutely not, we're swamped that day, there's no way we can handle this, then that is the way it is. I'm just looking to see if we can get this ball rolling, see if it's possible to do for 2024, maybe even 2025, but if it dies here, it dies here. I'm not hurt by it.
It's really not volunteerism if you're getting paid by your employer to do it.
No.
And I think Alderman Keeler has a good point. If the taxpayer wouldn't agree with maybe the charity that you're going to volunteer with, they may not agree with the position, and I think it opens us up to criticism as far as what we've done, eliminating a couple positions, but yet we can let our employees do this type of work. I think it's needed in the community, and it's a sad state of affairs for the community that we can't get more volunteers. I agree with you, but I don't think it's a municipality's job to do that.
I would agree. I would agree with the comments both gentlemen have made, that I just don't see how we can justify, being told we're short-staffed and we don't have enough people in certain departments, and then say, but go ahead and take a day to volunteer. I agree, it's a good thing, and everybody should volunteer, and they should be willing to do it on their own time to do it. And if they do it on their own time and they're not being paid to do it, it's not any reflection on anything from our end, and so I'm in agreement with them.
No, and I can understand that, and it doesn't hurt me one bit. And something that was brought up, and it said, hey, it's a talking point. Let's see where it goes.
And we need more of those around here, more ideas and more things, so it's a good discussion. Saying that, I'll make a motion to table.
I'll second that motion. Further questions or discussion? My comment, was it Alderman Kaler or somebody during their comments brought up Church Mutual, and they do have a program set up. And I think it's a different scenario for the private sector to have a program to give back to the community versus the community's employees that are paid by the taxpayers, and just coming out of a challenging budget year and going into what at least looks like a much better budget year, as a finance director commented earlier. But I think we have to have some stability before we can consider something like this, knowing that our employees are providing the services and don't necessarily have all of the resources that we need at time, and should consider bringing this back at a future date. So I think tabling it makes the most sense. Further questions or discussion on the motion on the table? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving that motion signify by saying aye.
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 And that's approved. Moving on to section 5 of the agenda, the monthly reports, which include Mayor Haas, the finance director, city attorney, city clerk, municipal court. Questions on any of the reports submitted in the agenda packet for this meeting?
I have a question for Kathy. Do you know when we will be able to get the audit? It says in here that it would be ready in advance of the September 12th.
I have no idea. They're working on it. As of Saturday afternoon, it was clear that I needed to bring in all of my staff on Monday morning on overtime before the payroll was being processed, so that we could give them the additional information requested. They responded to thank my staff for making that a priority. And we basically, as of end of Monday, we had more stuff that needed to be provided. We've provided that as well to the auditors. They are working on it. We have another agreement that the mayor signed, and we will send back tomorrow to finish it up. The main hangups at this point in time are the leases, and then instead of a full federal single audit, because we spent more than $750,000 in federal money, grant money, is a alternative approach to the American Rescue Plan. That's the main focus. That's the focus, and hopefully we can get this turned off so that we can get it as early as possible next week. They have not at this point said, no, we can't finish it and get it to me timely so that we have it for the meeting.
Okay, well, maybe when you get them, if you can just let everybody know so we can pick them up or whatever.
No, as soon as we have it, you will get it. I mean, it's frustrating at this point.
When you say the meeting, you mean our next council meeting?
The next council meeting, we are trying to do a committee of the whole. The mayor requested that we do a committee of the whole for an audit presentation before the regular council meeting.
It's a good one to have it.
And they're scheduled to be, representatives from CLA are scheduled to be at that meeting, as well as Brian Riley from Ellers.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, go ahead, Your Honor.
And the reason I wanted the committee of the whole meeting was I'd like to invite members of the RGA to that meeting so that they know where we kind of stand in our audit moving forward to make decisions, more easily, I guess.
It makes sense, and it sounds like that should happen according to what Kathy's been saying here. Further questions on any of the monthly reports?
I'll make a motion, place monthly reports on file.
I will second that motion.
Further discussion on the monthly reports or questions on the monthly reports? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving placing the monthly reports on file signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those are approved to go to the next common council meeting. Section 6 for the agenda is public comment. Either those present in the council chambers or on teleconference. State your name and address and come forward, or ask to be identified on the teleconference. Any public comment from anybody on the teleconference or present in the council chambers? Hearing none, we'll move on to confirming date and time of our next meeting. Which we talked about a minute ago is Tuesday, September 26th at 6 p.m. That's still good for everybody? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for attending this evening.